All right, let's talk about something that feels almost like a myth, becoming a millionaire as a freelancer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the actual playbook used by some of the most successful people on platforms like Fiverr.
I mean, this is the big question, right? You see these success stories and wonder, how on earth did they do that? Was it just luck? Did they get in early? Well, what if I told you it's not about luck at all?
Yeah, that's right. After a deep dive by Fiverr's own community leader, Will Bryant, who studied dozens of these top sellers, a pattern emerged. It turns out their success wasn't random. It follows a specific, repeatable set of strategies. It's a playbook.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to look at 4 key ideas. First, thinking like a startup, not a hobbyist. Second, a wild pricing strategy that's all about momentum. Then we'll talk about building real authority. And finally, how to scale beyond just yourself. Ready? Let's jump in. Okay, first things first. And honestly, this might be the most important part of the entire thing. It all comes down to a fundamental shift in how you think about what you're doing.
And there it is. That's the core difference. The people who made it to the very top didn't just dabble. They weren't just picking it up on a Tuesday when they felt creative. Nope. From day one, they treated it like a serious business.
You can really see the difference here, can't you? The side hustle mindset is passive. You kind of work when you feel like it, you reply to messages when you get around to it, and you basically just hope for the best. But the startup mindset, that's active. You show up every single day. You communicate professionally and, just as importantly, fast. You're not just hoping. You're testing ideas, looking at the data, and constantly improving.
So, what does that look like in practice? Well, it means having a daily checklist. It means trying to understand how the platform's algorithm actually works. It means, and I know this sounds boring, but it's crucial, actually reading the terms of service. Learning the rules of the game you're playing. It's about asking your clients smart questions to understand what they really need. It's about professionalism down to the tiniest detail, like making sure there are no spelling mistakes. All right, our next strategy. This one might feel a little backwards at first. It's a pattern we see over and over with the top earners, and it's all about pricing for momentum, not trying to be a premium service right out of the gate. So instead of launching with really high prices to seem premium, they did the exact opposite. They started low with really accessible pricing. Why? To get the ball rolling fast. This generated a ton of orders and, more importantly, a ton of reviews. All that activity and social proof built trust and pushed them way up in the search results. And only then, once they had all that visibility and authority, did they start to strategically raise their prices.
And you don't have to just take my word for it. This quote from another top seller says it all. It's not about having the perfectly priced, flawless gig on your first day. It's about getting orders in the door, learning from them, and building that social proof. That initial momentum is so much more valuable than a high price tag.
So you've got the startup mindset, you've got momentum building. What's next? Well, now it's time to solidify your spot as a go-to expert. This is all about building a brand that people instantly trust. And there are a few key ways they do this. First, they don't try to be a jack of all trades. They specialize. They find a high-demand niche and own it. A lot of them use video in their gigs. It creates an instant human connection. And this is a big one. They build a presence outside of the platform. They have a consistent username on social media, maybe a personal website. That way, clients can find them and feel way more confident about hiring them. And you know what? They don't wait until they have a fancy camera or a perfect studio. They just start.
I love this idea. It's so powerful. Think about it. A storefront is just the place where you sell your stuff. But your brand, your identity, that's something bigger, something you own. The top sellers build their reputation everywhere, on social media, on their own websites, in their professional networks. Fiverr's where the transaction happens, but the trust, that's built everywhere else.
Okay, this brings us to the final and maybe most difficult stage of the playbook. To really hit those huge numbers, you have to make the leap from being a freelancer to being a true business owner. It's just a simple truth. There are only 24 hours in a day. The people who really broke through that income ceiling all realized at some point that they couldn't be the bottleneck in their own business. They had to scale. So what does that actually look like? Well, as the orders started piling up, they started delegating. They brought on other designers or writers to help with the workload. They hired editors to polish the final product. Many hired virtual assistants to handle all the emails and admin tasks, which freed them up to focus on the super high-value work that only they could do.
And that kind of brings us full circle to the main takeaway from all of this.
We tend to look at these top sellers like they're some kind of superheroes, like they have a secret power the rest of us don't. But the research shows something completely different.
I mean, when you boil it all down, this is what it is. The entire playbook comes down to these three simple things: showing up with a consistent professional work ethic, focusing on solving a genuine problem for a client, and a deep commitment to delivering amazing work every single time. It's not magic, it's just a process.
So there you have it. The playbook is right here on the table. The strategies are clear. The only question left is the one every freelancer has to answer for themselves. It's not about finding some secret hack or a shortcut. It's about making a choice to run your freelance practice like a real business.